What does the Broncos' finalized roster look like? This is your Denver Sports Daily for August 27th.
The biggest stories, the latest news. It's Denver Sports Daily.
The final 53-man roster for the NFL was due for each team yesterday, so they were handing in their reports to the teacher, the NFL. And after a flurry of cuts, the Broncos have had their team set. They have their full 53-man roster that they'll be running with to start the season. Now, I'm going to break down and go through what every single room looks like. What are the Broncos looking at on both offense and defense, and of course the specialist players. But the first I want to get into is the full offense. The 24 players that the Broncos are keeping on offense are QBs, Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham. We know that those two are the ones that they're riding with, and this kind of it goes without saying, but it looks like the Broncos are not going to trade Jarrett Stidham. And of course, that was just maybe a little conversation I wanted to have with y'all last week. And Jarrett Stidham, of course, is definitely a great backup QB. So it's good he's staying with the team. You can feel really confident in those two guys going out there. Of course, Bo Nix is a legend here in Denver already. So we're rocking with those two guys in the QB room. And then in the RB room, the running backs, we got J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, Jaleel McLaughlin, and Tyler Beatty. This comes after yesterday's cuts of Audric Estime and Blake Watson. They're running with those four running backs. And then the wide receiver room, Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, Trent Sherfield Sr., and Pat Bryant. Pat Bryant, of course, that young guy taken in the third round by the Broncos, coming in looking to fill Devon Vele's role after Vele was traded to the New Orleans Saints earlier last week. A big move that happened last week with the Broncos. I can't say I was expecting it, but clearly Sean Payton sees something in Pat Bryant, and they're going to look for that to thrive. So hopefully Pat Bryant goes out there and can really pick up that where Devon Vele left off, because Devon Vele had an incredible season playing only 3/4 of the year and being a rookie. Hopefully Pat Bryant can come in and provide at that same level. Now the tight end / fullback room is Evan Ingram, Adam Troutman, Nate Adkins, and Lucas Kroll. At center, we got Luke Wattenberg and Alex Forsyth. Offensive guard, Ben Powers and Quinn Miners. Offensive tackle, Garrett Bowles, Mike McGlinchey, Alex Peljuski, Matt Pert, and Frank Crum. And those are all the offensive players. So that's what you're looking at for the offensive roster heading into the season for the Broncos. Now for the defense, though, they'll carry 26 players on the defensive side of the ball. At cornerback, of course, Patrick Surtain is up there. Riley Moss, Jaquan McMillan, Chris Abrams-Drain, and the rookie Jahdae Barron, the Texas kid. Jahdae Barron, I mean, there was a lot to like out of him at Texas. I'm still surprised that they took him in the first round. That's a total curveball that nobody, I can really say, was expecting it to happen. I mean, I didn't know anybody that was saying the Broncos are going to go corner with their first round pick. But he's been having a solid camp. I mean, obviously a great player at Texas, and having him on that cornerback roster is a great boost to the team. Now, at safety, you got Talanoa Hufanga, the acquisition that the Broncos got from the 49ers. Brandon Jones, P.J. Locke, Devon Key, J.L. Skinner. And then at inside linebacker, you got Alex Singleton, Dre Greenlaw, another acquisition from the 49ers. Justin Chernad, Kareem Reed. And then you got outside linebacker, Nick Benito, Jonathan Cooper, Jonah Ellis, DeAndre Tillman, and Quay Robinson. And then defensive end, where the Broncos really make their money's worth, Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, Jordan Jackson, Savion Jones, and Ayuma Uwazurike. And then defensive tackle, another great area for the Broncos, DJ Jones and Malcolm Roach. And then there's the three specialty players, a punter, Jeremy Crawshaw, kicker, Will the Thrill Lutz, and then long snapper, Mitchell Frabroni. Best name in the NFL, Mitchell Frabroni. I mean, how can you not love it? So those will be what the players are. That's the 53-man roster for the Broncos. That's all 53 right there. That's what they'll start their season. And there will still be some movement as the team is still making adjustments to the practice squad. And there are some players that have been moved to injured reserve that we could see come back up into that roster later in the season. But overall, that will be the team that the Broncos start with, and hopefully, honestly, be the team that they finish with, barring any serious injuries. Now, there will still be some people on IR that maybe come up or come down, depending on, again, injuries and what the timelines are. But that's the team. We're running with that, and I can't be any more excited for next Sunday. It is coming so soon, and we're finally almost there. Now, moving on, Deion Sanders announced which QB will start after a position battle between Payton Salter and Julian Lewis. Coach Prime announced which QB will take the first snap for the Buffs on Friday. Payton Salter will be Shedeur's successor for the CU Buffs. And Deion Sanders spoke on Payton Salter. He said, quote, he's the guy. He's the guy at this point. At this point, we're praying and we're hoping that you see some juju periodically through the game as well. We would like to get him some reps as well, but the game predicates that. So you could see even in that, Payton Salter's the guy in his mind. But he still wants to see Julian Lewis go out there. He wants to see Juju get some plays. And he's talking about this Friday. He wants the game to be at a secure place where they can put in their true freshman, 5-star recruit, Julian Lewis. And overall, it makes sense. Salter is entering his 5th year of his collegiate career. I mean, you talk about the COVID year, being redshirted. He's entering his 5th year. And that's a career. He's recorded over 5,800 yards passing and 56 touchdowns, along with over 2,000 yards rushing and 21 touchdowns. So you're talking about a real two-way threat, a dual threat in the QB room, and maybe a bit, not maybe, a better scrambler than Shedeur Sanders. So that guy, Payton Salter, could very well have a breakout season with CU. Very well. And he's had some great seasons with Liberty, but Payton Salter coming in with those numbers that he's had throughout his 5 years, and his first year was not great. I mean, he barely had any chance to pass the ball. I believe he only threw like 8 passes in his first year. I might be way off on that, but just from what I was remembering reading his stats, I believe it was that low. So seeing what he did in basically 3 years, entering his 5th year, he could have a very, very great season with CU. But not starting Julian Lewis is a wise move. I don't want to see Julian Lewis go out there and then have a bad season and it gets in his head. He's a true freshman. You don't want to put that much pressure on a player, especially with how much pressure is already being put on CU after Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter leave. Those guys need to go out there and start winning. So Julian Lewis, take a back seat. So I don't necessarily agree with Coach Prime saying that he would like to see him get some reps in this upcoming game. Don't put Julian Lewis in unless you're at a point where you need to. Let Payton Salter play the first game, and if you really want a QB switch, do it in week 6 if you're 2-4 or 1-5. I don't see that happening for CU, but do it then. Don't have confusion in the locker room and on the field. That's all it is you're adding confusion to the game when you're switching out the QBs. I want to see Payton Salter go out there and play the entirety of the first game, and then we'll see midway through the season what the standings are looking like, what the record's looking like, and then you can maybe put Julian Lewis in. Now, moving on, more CU news technically. Shedeur Sanders made the Browns roster. With roster finalization taking place yesterday, I can't think of anyone more nervous than Shedeur Sanders. In a tight QB room, Sanders came out with a jersey as he made the Browns roster. The Browns traded away Kenny Pickett to make room for their dual QBs, rookie QBs. And Shedeur will also be dressing for their first game. However, he'll be the 3rd-string emergency QB behind Joe Flacco and Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel, of course, what can I say? He's not better than Shedeur. And the fact that the Browns took him around before Shedeur and then ended up taking Sanders, it doesn't make much sense to me. And I can't really understand why the Browns do the things that they do. But this has been the story of the Browns' life. And I really feel bad for Cleveland fans. But another storyline to watch is Deshaun Watson. The 3-time Pro Bowler is on injured reserve for the Browns right now, and his return could come near Halloween. Now, if the Browns cut Shedeur Sanders to make room for Deshaun Watson, when that time comes, if they cut Sanders to make room for Watson, they would officially cement themselves as the most poverty team in the NFL. Call it hating, call it whatever you want. That's a terrible move. And how many times have we seen the Browns fail like that? I mean, it's countless. Look at what Baker's doing right now. If Shedeur Sanders leaves Cleveland, it might be the best move for him. It not only might be, it would be the best move for Shedeur Sanders. So we'll see what happens when that time comes. But I'm praying that they do not make a bad mistake like that, because I can't imagine what the fans would react like in Cleveland. It would be insane to say the least. Now that'll do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I'll be back with you guys again tomorrow. And of course, we are only 2 days away from CU's first game. They're playing Georgia Tech on Friday. I cannot be more excited. College football, so much fun to watch. I mean, this last weekend, I was sitting there watching the Iowa State game, and it was just fun. I mean, how can you not love college football? And this week it's even bigger. We got a few really good games on the slate this weekend, and of course it's starting tomorrow. Actually, the first real Week 1 games are starting tomorrow, but then on Friday, CU is playing against Georgia Tech. But that'll do it for Denver Sports Daily. I'll be back with you guys again tomorrow. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.